Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to the Adibi IP Group Live Innovators Q&A, your daily live cast, bringing you guys awesome content every single day of the week, trying to bring as much content that we can to help you guys navigate the business world from an intellectual property context. So this is a Q&A show. Today we're going to be looking at Nintendo game controllers. We've done a whole series. We've been looking at the history of Nintendo game controllers starting from the 90s to the 2010. And now we're going to be looking at 2010 onward. Now we're going to break it up because there's a lot of patents between 2010 and 2000 and to the present. So we're going to be looking at 2010 to 2015 today. Now, again, I'm going to show you guys how to do this from start to finish. So you guys can use this information that I'm teaching you here to do this research for any business that you're interested in. So first things first, you're going to want to go to uspto.gov. Here I'm sharing the site now. So this is uspto.gov. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to scroll down and search for patents. So pat FT, and then click advanced. Now, once you're here, you're going to type in a search. So we're going to do Asini, search by Asini. And Asini is, in this case, is Nintendo. And then we're going to be looking at controllers. So TTL stands for title. And then APT4. This indicates design patents, so we're going to be focusing on design patents. Utility patents are also super interesting, super fascinating. We might do a couple episodes on utility patents on these game controllers, but design patents are great because they're so visual, and so they're a lot easy to navigate and to parse through. Now we're going to also be looking at patents with issue date. ISD stands for issue date. We're going to be looking from beginning of 2010 to beginning of 2015. So we're going to do 1/1/2010. all the way to 1/1/2015. Now, once I hit search, I'm going to get some results. And we're going to go through all these results today. Now, it doesn't take all that long to parse through these, but let's start from the top. So we're going to start with controller cover. Now, what I did was I actually already opened them for you guys just to help you guys out, just so that it would speed up the process. So again, I already opened. This is the 178 patent that I already opened. So as you can see, this is the Wii remote, but it's the jacket. So if you scroll down, you'll actually be able to see how it actually fits in to this jacket here. So as you can see right here, here it is. So it's actually being held. The remote is actually held inside. Now let's look at the next one. So again, I'm not going to click through them, so I'm trying to save you guys time. So I already opened them beforehand. Now this is an expansion pack. So as you can see, controller expander. And as you can see, this bottom connector here fits into the remote. So we scroll down, here it is right here. Now note, they don't claim dash lines as a feature of the mark, of the design. And so that's why this controller is shown in dash lines, because they don't want to claim it. They're just focusing, this design patent is just focusing on the expander pack. Now let's move on to the next patent. Oh, by the way, in terms of time, we're looking at July 20th, 2010. What you're going to see is they actually had a whole slew of patents issued in 2013. Pretty interesting. So here, this is another controller right here. This one issued in 2010. As you can see, they're claiming the overall controller here, all right? So there's no dash lines. They're claiming the overall controller. And we're going to see some variations on this one down the line. This is an expansion pack, another version of an expansion pack. And again, here they have the same figure showing how the Wii remote fits into the game expansion pack. Let's keep going forward in time. So this is another jacket for the Wii remote. It's called a jelly grip. So again, it's another version of it, of the one that we saw earlier. And again, this is also 2011. So we're moving forward in time here. And here it's actually shown inside the actual container. So this, sorry, not the container, but the actual enclosure. So this is the Wii remote. It's shown in dashed lines because, of course, they're not claiming this overall as their design, but they're just focusing on this enclosure. Let's keep moving forward in time. So this is, again, another variation of the Wii remote. And as you can see, it's a slight variation. It's different. It's a different design. And then let's see if we can find, I'm sure they have, here it is, here it is. So this is the actual remote inside the enclosure. So again, if you guys are following design patents, you're going to want to think about doing this. You should show the product, the design that you want to protect, but then show it in context of your other core products. Why? It helps the reader quickly understand what it is they're looking at. Because if you didn't see this figure, but you only saw this figure, for example, you wouldn't have as much context. You would only see, oh, controller cover. Okay, well, seeing this one though at the bottom makes it make a lot more sense. You can tell right away what you're looking at. Let's keep moving forward in time. Okay, so this I believe is called the Wii U. The Wii U. So this is the controller here. I was not familiar with the Wii U, but here it is. Here's more information on it. If you guys are interested, you could read about it. So pretty interesting. But what I just showed you guys, this is a design patent. So these are the design. There's a whole slew of design patents on this. I want to cover them because they did some interesting things. Nintendo did some interesting things here. So first of all, this is the overall Wii U, right? And they're covering the overall design of the product. But then what you're going to see is they have a lot of additional design patents that are filed on different aspects of this gaming console. So, for example, this is the overall. Let's keep going forward in time. We're going to see some interesting variations on this. This is the padding that protects the Wii remote. Interesting. Okay. And it's rubber. I think these comments are from the prior one. Yeah. Thanks to Forced Invasion. Much appreciated. So this right here, these are the two halves of the Wii U. So these are what fit together. Now, this is the first time that we've seen Nintendo do this in the context of controllers. So we did a whole series of episodes on prior controllers, but it's interesting that in this particular application, they actually basically broke the product in half. So that if you can imagine, they basically took the controller and broke it up into two pieces and filed a design patent on those two separate pieces. So they're going to come together, obviously, with the electronic sandwich in between. But it's really interesting that they chose to do this to show just the half of the game controller. Pretty interesting. Let's keep going forward in time. Okay, this looks like another light, like another light gun to me. Again, I'm not familiar with this, but I'm guessing that the way this works is the Wii U probably fits into the panel here and can be used with the gaming console. Let's see if it actually shows us that. I'm gonna guess. Here it is. So there it is. So again, if you guys are filing design patents, this is a really, really good technique. Show how the ancillary product fits with the fundamental core product. Just show the core product in dashed lines, right? Because once you see this, you know right away, okay, what are you dealing with? Okay, this is a gun. This is a controller. So pretty neat. And you can tell this is the Wii U. Now, where are we? So we're in 2013. So a lot happened in 2013. This one issued in 2013. Maybe someone give us confirmation. Did the Wii U come out in 2013? Based on the design patents that I see here, that's what's indicated. But let's keep going forward in time. So we have the enclosure, half the enclosure. We have this light or this gun controller. Okay, now what are they doing here? Why did they file this one? Now this is interesting. So here we see a lot more dashed lines, okay? So the dashed lines are not claimed as a feature of the mark. So let's see what it is that they're really focusing on. Now, you look at it, they're really focusing on the contours of the Wii U. So you see the overall outline and the back here, it's not in dashed lines. But this is a solid line, this is a solid line. So the point of this, so they don't care at all about the buttons. They're not claiming buttons as a feature of the mark, but they're claiming the overall enclosure shape and the back grooves, the back contours is what they're protecting in this design patent. And again, you can tell that because of the dashed lines surrounding various parts of the gaming console. So all the buttons are in dashed lines. There's a lot of dashed lines in this design patent, but what isn't dashed are these contours on the back and the overall shape of the front. So pretty interesting, pretty fascinating that they would dedicate a whole nother design patent to that element. Let's keep going forward in time. Again, we're still in 2013. A lot of Nintendo design patents issued in 2013. Now, this design pattern entirely disregards the back altogether, and it's focused on the front panel, okay? So the front panel, how it extends out, like you can see here, there's a solid line here, and we see the surface. So they're focusing on the surface, the side surface of the top half in addition to the overall shape. And then also notice the solid lines on the panel and the buttons. But again, they're not focusing on all the features. So this, for example, the controller here is in dashed, and the joystick here is in dash, and the buttons down below are in dash. So really, they're focusing on the arrow keys, the buttons, this panel where the display is, and then the overall front half of the enclosure. So pretty interesting. Let's keep scrolling down. Again, you can see, and this is clearly evident just by seeing this design pattern. Again, really focusing on that top half of this gaming controller. Let's keep going forward in time. So again, we're still in 2013. A lot of patents issued in 2013 to Nintendo. Now, this design patent here is, again, focusing on the top half. And it's interesting because in this one, they don't even show the bottom half. So it's like they took this design patent and just said, you know what? We're not even going to show the bottom half. We're just going to show the top half of that gaming console. So pretty interesting that Nintendo decided to file so many design patents on the Wii U. Now, this is really cool. It really shows the detail. Let me see if I can zoom out. No, zooming out is only going to mess me up. This really shows the detail, but if I make it smaller, actually, it effectively zooms out. Really shows the detail of the interior, all the various components involved in connecting the bottom half to the top half. And again, this design pattern, again, is focusing on the buttons, the location of the joystick, the overall enclosure, the interior panel for the display. That is what's being focused on in this particular design pattern. I'm going to make it big again for you guys so you guys can see clearly. Let's keep going forward in time. So this is another gaming controller, still in 2013. Another gaming controller right here. And again, they're covering the overall design of that game controller. Now, interesting, again, same thing that we were seeing before and that we've seen in a lot of Nintendo design patents. They will file another design patent that doesn't cover the overall enclosure, but the location of the button. So here we see the joysticks in the top left and right, the arrow key control buttons, and then the directional buttons, and then the 4 buttons to the right. So again, this design patent is not covering the enclosure of the controller, just the buttons. And it's also interesting to note that there's some other buttons that they don't even bother claiming. For example, these buttons here are all in dashed lines. These here, all dashed lines. So pretty interesting. And again, we're still in 2013. Let's move forward. Again, here's another variation. So again, this is a really, really, really interesting thing that they did here. So we see 3 design patents, right? This one here is covering the overall controller with all the buttons. This one here is only focused on the buttons, the core buttons. I'm going to call them core buttons. Some gamers might take umbrage to that description. And then this controller here is disregarding the buttons and is focused on the other aspects of the controller. So here you can see these look like LEDs to me. And then now we're focusing on the enclosure, the contours, right? So the grooves, the curves. So here you see here, this protruding areas. All these contours are focused on in this particular design pattern. They're disregarding the buttons entirely. So interesting strategy. So they do one design patent that covers everything, another design patent that covers just the buttons, and another design patent that disregards the buttons but focuses on the enclosure and the contours of that enclosure. Let's move forward in time. So here's another interesting variation. So again, this is 2013. A lot of design patents issued to Nintendo in 2013. This one disregards the core buttons, but covers the enclosure and also the buttons in the middle right here. So as you can see, there are the buttons in the middle. Buttons in the middle and the overall enclosure. So we have 2 more. This one right here, I believe this is the backside of the Wii U, and it shows the cartridge. And again, remember that they had a design patent that focused on the front half. Well, this is the design patent that focuses on the back half. So let me see if I can find that. I think it's this one right here. As you can see, this is the top half. Okay, so they have the analog. This other design patent here that focuses on the bottom half. So this is the bottom half. And again, we're still in 2013. And then let's look at the last one. So this was in 2014. And this looks like an expander. See, this one doesn't show it in context, unfortunately, so it's a little harder to understand. So those are Nintendo design patents from 2010 to 2015. I hope you guys found this episode helpful. It's really, really interesting and cool to see the genesis of Nintendo game controllers and how they change over time, but looking at it from the perspective of design patents. Because again, one cool thing about patents is that they catalog a history. They show a technical history of companies, fields, technical fields. Really, really, really interesting way to consume history. So if you guys found this episode helpful, please send us feedback, shout out, give us shout outs. If you guys want to send us questions, topics that you want us to cover, send them to victoria@adbip.com. You can also join our text community, 415-943-5193, 415-943-5193. Would love to have you in our text community. Shoot a text to that number. You get direct access to me. You can send me your questions. You can send me your show ideas, any sort of feedback. We want as much feedback as possible because, again, we're trying to create content that is actually applicable and helpful to you guys. So thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it and looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a nice weekend.